This man's far too old to be Samuel. No. By the look of his clothes, this man's a docker. Samuel isn't here. I had better follow the blood trail. As I feared, Samuel no longer preaches the good word. I can't believe I'm... doing this. This is despicable.
So many new graves.
Are you all right, Miss Shun?
My name is Xiao Shun. This is the proper way to address someone in my country.
I do apologize, Xiao Shun. Are you all right?
Yes, I am. This is the only place where I can find some kind of serenity. Some way to remember my dear Matthew.
How is the sanitary situation evolving in Whitechapel these days?
My only relief is that my Matthew died before seeing the madness that approaches. I'm afraid we won't survive this trial, Dr. Reed.
Tell me how your husband died, Xiaoshun.
Matthew died of the Spanish flu, like so many others. It's a mundane cause of death these days, but for me it meant the end of the world.
At this time, there is so little medical science can do to defeat this terrible epidemic. I'm truly sorry.
The worst thing is not his death, even if it tears me apart. The worst is not to have seen it coming, to have lost him so quickly, even before realizing it.
Did he hide his condition from you?
Matthew was a smiling type, a happy sort. Everything that I am not. Did he laugh at his death to come, or did he not realize what was going to happen? I'll never know.
Are you on your own? Do you have any friends or family who you could be with?
I have family and friends, but I need to be here alone. One day maybe I'll go back to them, but not now. I need silence, and I need sadness.
Sadness can be a terrible trap. It can entangle you and weaken your heart if you let it control your thoughts.
Thank you for your sincere words, Dr. Reed. I sense you trying to help me, even if I don't quite understand why.
The Spanish flu may be the worst disease mankind has ever faced. Why are you blaming yourself?
You don't understand. I didn't know he was so sick. I didn't realize the gravity of his situation until it was too late.
As harsh as this sounds, we are all equally vulnerable to this awful disease. It can take the strongest man in just a couple of days.
I never said goodbye to Matthew. We never realized how bad it was. We laughed about it even. He always made me laugh. Now I don't have enough tears to shed.
You realize you can't stay here forever, don't you? Eventually, you'll have to leave the cemetery.
Why? Why should I go? Since this is the only place I can find peace of mind.
But you're not dead. There is a difference between visiting the dead and staying with them.
You sound like you're no stranger to the pain I feel.
Let's just say, I too have a good reason to visit cemeteries at night.
Please accept my condolences for your loss then, Dr. Reed.
Are you a doctor yourself? Is this why you feel so guilty for not saving your sick husband?
No, I am not. But I still need to blame someone for Matthew's death. And who else, if not his wife, who did not see it coming?
I'm a physician, one of the best in the country. But I was unable to save my own sister, Mary. She died in my arms.
Why tell me this? Is it supposed to make me feel better?
She will rest in this cemetery forever. And I'll spend eternity hoping that she can forgive me.
May I ask what caused the death of your sister?
You could say she was also killed by a terrible disease. A disease I have sworn to fight and cure, no matter how long it takes.
Thank you for sharing that with me, Dr. Reed. Maybe it's time we start to rebuild our lives, you and I.
You should go home now.
I think you're right. Cemeteries are for the dead, for they need silence too. Thank you for your honesty and your wisdom, Dr. Reed.
Thank you for your company, Xiaoshun. Take care on the way home.
Maybe I'll see you again in Whitechapel. Goodbye for now.
Goodbye for now.
Matthew. The world has gone completely mad.
Best stay back, sir. Look lively! It's on to us! Ah! Over there! There's one of them vermin! Burn it! You're made! Don't you know better? Stupid! Your prey is mine now!
Good evening, Doctor. Can I help you?
Christina Popper claims she sells her body because she can't find any other work. Do you believe her?
Of course I do. Her story is exactly what I want my readers to understand. We live in an intolerant and divided nation.
Do you think things will ever change, Mr. Darby?
I believe the situation can only improve. And now that women can vote, I'm convinced things will change.
How are conditions in Whitechapel at the moment?
I always thought it was my role to reveal what really happens in these forgotten parts of London.
And you're not sure anymore?
Emptied coffins, cannibalism, walking dead. I'm trying to report the truth about what's going on, but no one believes it anymore.
Do you need assistance?
Save your time for the people who need you here, Doctor.
Goodbye, Mr. Darby. Farewell. Good evening, Christina.
Change your mind, Mr. Reed?
Could this be the scarf you lost, Miss Popper?
It is much more than a scarf to me. It is the only thing that connects me to my family and my country. Thank you so much.
Goodbye, miss. Take care of yourself as best you can. Good evening, Mr. Whitaker.
It's Father Whitaker, my son. So, are you still lost in your rational delusions?
Don't you fear getting sick yourself?
Faith gives me all I need, my son. If I must fall, then so be it.
No doubt your faith will prevail, but let me give you some extra protection against the devil's work. Medicine.
Blessed be your generosity, my son.
I have found Samuel, your disciple. I am afraid I have bad news.
I already expected the worst. He should already have come back. He is dead, isn't he?
Yes, he is now. The epidemic took him.
Samuel steadily made donations to our cause. He would have rewarded you himself if you'd found me in that awful cemetery. Please accept this money.
Why did you send Samuel to the cemetery, Tobias? What did you see there?
I sent him on a vision. A dream of a dreadful and laughing queen covered with blood, sleeping with the dead and feeding on the fear of the dying.
A laughing queen dressed in blood. Tell me more.
This epidemic is her feast, the announcement of her return. Against her, science is no more than a child's toy.
But who is she?
She is the mother of harlots and abomination of the earth. She is Babylon, drunk on the blood of the saints.
Tobias Whitaker, confess why you burnt those people alive.
I have done what no one was ready to do. I will smite the flesh of the unclean to protect the righteous.
You are just another heartless murderer, exploiting the epidemic to kill with impunity.
No! No. The only way to contain the spread is to strike at the source itself. The proliferating sick.
You're not the savior of London. You're just a glorified sadist.
I take no pleasure in this awful cleansing, Dr. Reed. I am only driven by the thousands of innocents I save each night.
Your disciple, Samuel, stole from the dead in Stonebridge Cemetery. I have proof of his crime, and proof of his death.
No! Samuel was the best of us. So devoted, so zealous. He gave all he had for the cause. He tirelessly preached the good word.
He defiled the dead with his petty thefts. That's how he financed your misguided crusade.
Think what you will. When this city is saved, he will be praised for his devoted fortitude. He walked boldly into the mouth of abomination.
Your precious Samuel used you. He was an immoral crook.
If that's true, then he will be my burden to bear during this endless night.
I have heard enough for tonight. Goodbye.
Cheap price, good quality.
You again?
Come on, take a look.
What do you want this time?
Can I offer you my medical expertise, Mr. Peters?
Keep your medicines for others.
There is a thin line between pride and stupidity, sir. Please take this medication. You'll feel better.
All right. I'll take it then. It's not like I don't appreciate the gesture.
Goodbye, Mr. Peterson.
Fancy buying something, sir?
You never lose your focus, do you? Joe Peterson. He's the villain here, isn't he? But you seem to know each other.
I'd known Joe for years. I saw him box once or twice. He was a friend then. But these days, he's just another thug.
What can you tell me about Mr. Peterson? Besides his behavior toward you, obviously.
Colossus Joe was a decent boxer, good one even. But after his wife passed away, he found every excuse to stop training. Just wanted to pick fights with everyone.
Without making excuses for him, it's safe to say that despair can poison even the sanest mind.
We've all had some rough times, ain't we? But most of us don't use our fists to see us through.
And no one has ever stood up to this thug.
Nobody would be fool enough to stand against a wet boot boy.
What do you know of Harry Peterson? The boy seems so fragile. Not like his father at all.
Harry's a good boy, but he spends most of his time complaining. He's had it tough, all right, but he needs to grow a pair.
What troubles him exactly?
Well, despite being his father's son, almost everything, I think. He never wanted to come to Whitechapel in the first place. Hates this place more than most of us.
Right then. Show me what you have.
Fancy buying something, sir?
You never lose your focus, do you? Do you need help, sir?
To be honest, I'd prefer you take a look at my stuff. I'd rather be rich and sick than the contrary.
I don't quite agree, but I won't argue with you. Please, take this. You'll feel better.
Really? Free? Don't take it personally, but charity usually comes at a price. Human nature being what it is.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Lewis.
This district seems to get uglier every year.
Good evening, sir. Do you remember me?
If you're here for a reward, you'll be sorely disappointed. But I'll gladly shake the hand of a fellow countryman.
I'm not here for a bounty. I'm a doctor. Dr. Reed from the Pembroke.
A doctor? In Whitechapel? What an opportunity. My name's Bates. Cadogan Bates.
Do you require assistance, Mr. Bates?
Not me, but your skills could help a lot of people round here. That would help my business, because I say a live tenant's a paying tenant.
Since I took an oath to help people, can I be of assistance?
Well, seen better days, that's for sure. But it was bound to happen with all these refugees about.
Infecting you is probably the last thing on these people's minds. Take this, in any case.
What? You give me this for free? Don't have a clue about this place, do you?
Have you heard anything about Nurse Crane and her dispensary?
Not really.
Why am I not convinced?
Maybe it's because you lack faith. Being a skeptic must be useful for a man of science.
How are conditions in Whitechapel at present?
The way this sickness is spreading, I don't think there'll be enough new bloods to replace those tenants I'm losing from this bloody thing.
It's unusual to see someone so happy around here, especially considering the current situation.
Why should I be sad now? There've always been wars, disease, tragedy. There always will be.
That's an unusual way of seeing things in these trying times.
I don't see why I should shed a tear for another man's woes. I'm healthy, and I intend to stay so.
What help could I possibly be to your business?
That's simple. I already get good money from all those fleeing the war. Can you imagine what they'd be willing to pay if I could offer medical assistance too?
Mr. Bates, do not make me regret saving your life in this quarantine zone.
I understand, Dr. Reed, you're from a good family. Don't want to get your hands dirty. That's fine. I'll be happy to act as your middleman.
I've no interest in money. Perhaps one night I will visit you and take what I require. If that should happen, there will be no need for a middleman.
So it's a no then. That's too bad. The Reed tonic could have really helped people, you know, save lives. Isn't that what you do? I mean, people buy that Swamborous shit.
Tell me, what's your honest opinion of the increasing violence in London?
People are just beginning to discover what we've always known. This city's rotten to the core. They just took their bloody time to wake up and notice it.
What do you mean?
People are acting like the violence is news. But it's always been savage down here. It just bubbles to the surface every now and again.
What is your business exactly?
I offer fair lodgings for a modest price to the poor and weary of Whitechapel.
I see. And what about those who cannot pay?
Well, deals can be done, if you know what I mean. Money's not the only currency. After all, I'm not immune to a pretty face.
In other words, You take advantage of these poor lost souls.
Begging your pardon, I thought you was a man who could appreciate the complexity of the modern world. Things ain't just black and white, you know.
You seem to have recovered well since your attack. Do you ever think about what happened to you?
Not much. It was a fucking nightmare. Savages, absolute bloody savages. Their appearance. Jesus. It made me want to puke.
You'd better not come back here. I won't be around next time to save you. I want to know everything about the recent violence, Cadogan. And I want the truth.
Well, rent may be a bit high, and yeah, I've had to evict a few people. But that's business, isn't it?
Take this as my final warning. You will not profit from the misery of others. Business is one thing, but what you do is quite another.
Really? What you gonna do? You ain't from here. You ain't Whitechapel, Doctor. You wouldn't know the first thing about playing dirty, even if you wanted to.
Have you heard anything about Nurse Crane and her dispensary?
Not really.
A man such as yourself, knee-deep in the muck of Whitechapel, must know more. Speak now.
Heard it closed after the owners died. Refugees don't want to come to Whitechapel no more. Scared, I hear.
You sound disappointed.
As long as she was there at the dispensary, it attracted more immigrants and kept my place full. Such a shame. Was I that evil to deserve such punishment? My only regret is that no one will mourn me, for I have never been loved.
This could be the box Lewis thought he lost. There's a letter inside. A love letter from Joe Peterson's wife, addressed to Barrett Lewis. Who should I give it to, I wonder?
The other way this week, Joe. Come on, we can sort it out, right?
It's not my call, Barrett. You pay one way or another.
Please, Joe. on, take a look. Don't be afraid. Cheap price, good quality. Come on, take a look. Don't be afraid.
You again? What do you want this time?
I think the documents in this box could be of some interest to you.
Really? Where'd you get it?
I found it in an abandoned building nearby. I thought you might want to keep these letters.
Let me see. Letters about my boy. Thank you, sir.
You do not appear surprised or pained by this.
Surprised about what? Harry's my son, I'm his father, and that's all there is to know, don't you think?
Yes, I suppose you're right.
Here's a little something for your trouble. And to remind you to keep your mouth shut about all this.
How is the sanitary situation in Whitechapel?
I'm not easily scared, but crazy killers and armed patrols are lurking about. My son's right about this place.
Goodbye, Mr. Peterson.